You ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Welcome back, you guys. It's the Wellness Hustle, episode 2.
Ooh.
Even though I'm putting up 4, I don't like doing that. 2. Episode 1 was interesting because we got some feedback from everyone, and everyone loved the episode. In particular, our relationship, which I had a feeling that was going to happen. And just people want more.
Yeah.
People want to know the details. This is going to become a reality show of our lives. But maybe to start, we can get into relationships, then go into health and all that fun stuff. And interestingly, I'm not speaking properly now. Interestingly, wow, I'm just gonna stop because if I keep going, it's just gonna be repetitive. Man, it's a long couple days.
You have been working 19 days straight.
Yes.
Work, so it's understandable.
Yeah, my brain is mush. So I don't know how good today's gonna be, but a few days ago, yesterday, was Valentine's Day.
Mm-hmm.
And
a few days ago, yesterday.
Man, this is gonna be rough. Valentine's Day is an interesting thing to me because over the last 15 years of training people, and again, for context, I would say 95% of all my clients are female. So anytime I would bring up what's your plan for Valentine's Day? And 99% of the time it's, we don't do that anymore, or it's just another day, which is kind of sad. And I actually do have one client where I spoke to her about this, and her partner always does something for Valentine's Day, no matter if it's big or small, but they'll make some sort of effort for it.
Yeah.
I understand.
It's difficult, and it could be a sore topic for most people, but I think the soreness comes from being tired of it, right? Or it's just been how it's been with their relationship forever, that it's they think that they're okay with it, but really they're sad, but they can't voice it out to their partner because their partner doesn't care as much or whatever it is. So I understand, but it's also come on.
Yeah.
You can do something.
Mm-hmm.
The least you could do. Flowers. And you can, most people can say, I can give them flowers any day. Why does it have to be Valentine's Day? Do you? When was the last time you gave them flowers? It's all about showing the person that you care. And that's the day to at least do it then, if you're not already doing it every other day.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
It's hard. I get it. I mean, especially if you've been... I don't get it personally because that's not what happens with us, but I understand that if it's been a long-term relationship and you've gone through kids and lots of marriage stuff and lots of other life stuff, that's kind of in their minds, it's it's the last thing that I need to do. We've been together for so long already. Why do I need to prove to you that I still love you?
Mm-hmm.
But that's the point. That's how you get to the end, is to continually show your partner that I care for you, I love you, you matter to me. So you need to do it, even if it's the smallest thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I always think about relationships in the sense of why they start in the first place. And a lot of people will refer to that as the spark.
Mm-hmm.
In the beginning, you're doing everything to court each other. You're super excited to see each other. And it almost seems like the moment you get too comfortable or you get married, then it's over.
Well, that's the joke, right? You get to the end, that's the end. That's the goal. You get married, and then it's downhill from there. Right? You stop exercising, you stop eating great, you stop doing the extra little things, and it's just because you're done. You're married. But that's just the beginning.
Yeah.
Because Because that's the beginning of the rest of your lives together. So keep showing up for them. Keep doing what you need to do.
Yeah.
That's just, I mean, that's coming from two people who are relatively young.
Mm-hmm.
But we've also been together for a long time. And we have set the foundation for our relationship. So then in the times that we do have to go through something hard, you know, we can do it together. And we always show up for each other.
Yeah, like I wanted to also bring up that whole like spark feeling. Like I feel that when you're in a relationship, you should constantly have that feeling in the back of your head to rekindle it. And like you mentioned that I worked 19 days in a row. I would say for the average person, they'd be like, thank God, I'm gonna not do anything. And the fact that I basically ended my 19-day streak on Valentine's Day, I was actually excited for Valentine's Day because I was like, oh, I get to spend my time, my free time, with you. And I think for most people who've been in a relationship a long time, if you don't have that feeling, there's probably other things that you need to kind of look at personally or whatever you're going through. Because I feel like a relationship should not be a burden. Like, sure, there's going to be hard times. Someone loses their job, someone's super stressed out, your kids are causing a chaos in your house every single day, you barely have time to connect, sure. But it shouldn't be like, ugh, Valentine's Day, I hate this day. Like, maybe you've had past trauma of previous Valentine's Days with other partners, but then that's something that you should have brought up in your relationship, that's not the thing. But I don't know, it's just strange to me that partners are not excited to have a day to spend together. And sure, yeah, you could say like, oh, I don't need a holiday to remind myself that I love my partner. Mm-hmm. But then there should be other days where you randomly like come home with something or like know what your partner likes. And like the funny thing for you was when I was done work on Friday, I went to a store and the amount of flowers that were there, and there were so many people buying stuff, and I'm like, yeah, sure, I could buy flowers, which is nice, you know, you put them on your table, but after a few days they kind of start wilting and then they eventually die. Instead, I bought you food and a snack, and like that's like the best thing that you love is so like having snacks, because when you get hungry, you get grumpy, and then you know, life sucks. So if I can continuously give you treats, you're going to be happy.
I'm a snack girl.
Yeah, but I don't know, like Valentine's Day is just a strange thing to me that so many people out there have a rough time with it.
But here's the thing, it's like some people, or most couples are just going through the motions, right? You're both working, or one person is working, one person may be staying at home with the kids or whatever it is, but you're just kind of floating past each other, and you're missing all the small moments of intimacy that you could be giving each other, whether that's like a hand on the back, or like even just holding hands, or just looking into each other, that 6-second kiss in the morning, or like before you leave each other. Like those things sometimes really disappear when things get really busy. And so it's understandable that happens every day, and then Valentine's Day comes and one person expects the other to do more than what they've been doing, and then the other person's like, what do you mean? I've been doing what I've been needing to do. What do you need more from me? But it's like, it's not, you shouldn't be like on both sides, right? You shouldn't expect only on one day to have all these great things, but you should be constantly working together to find those moments of intimacy, because if you let that go, it's so much harder to get back. It's so much harder to find. It's so much harder to be like, hey, I'm feeling really vulnerable, I want to talk to you about something, Valentine's Day is coming up, like I want to do something fun. It's so much harder to do that if you've had a whole year or maybe more of not having like vulnerability together and connection together. You can walk past each other every day, you can say I love you, good night, whatever it is, but you have to show them how do you love me. Show them in different multiple ways. Like, yes, I don't know if we actually talked about this, but there's the 5 love languages,
yeah.
and we've tried to figure out what that is, but most of the time we fall into multiple ones. I've never believed that one person is only likes one thing. You should be trying to show your love in all those ways. Maybe your partner likes, prefers one over the other, but showing them in all of the ways shows them how much you actually love them, and not just the one way. So I don't know, I feel like that's, don't get us wrong, we're not perfect. We have our days where we don't, we're busy too, we are not communicating as great, but when we start to get there, that's when we're like, okay, stop, we need to find a way to connect again, we need to be on the same page, because now it's not just the two of us, now we have our daughter. We need to make sure that we're good going forward, because we're building something.
Yeah.
If we don't do that, if we don't communicate, if we're not on the same page, we could fall apart, and that's not what we want.
Yeah.
We're building a legacy. We need to keep going. We need to go up, not flat, right?
Yeah, the thing I wanted to also bring up too is when you think about relationships, it's definitely a holistic approach to your overall health. Because I've seen so many times where people's mental health and physical health will be determined based on how their relationships are. So relationship health, essentially. So I've seen where people thrive when they're with somebody new.
Yeah.
And then they break up, divorce, everything goes downhill, and they get into a rut, and they go into other paths that will affect their physical and mental health. So if you're already in a relationship, it would make sense that you also work on your relationship health, just like if you were going to go to the gym and train or whatever it is, because the relationship is going to affect all those other facets of life. And for me, I have this weird thing where I will put myself in situations where it's worst case scenario, and it almost makes me put more perspective in my life. I don't think I've ever told you about this, but I'll think worst case scenario, we break up, how am I going to feel? And I will go into that environment of okay, you're not in my life anymore, what does that look like, how does that make me feel? And automatically I'm I have no motivation anymore.
Yeah.
I do not want to work as hard as I work right now. I don't really want to work out as much as I just wouldn't enjoy life.
Yeah.
And then that puts me in perspective, and I think a lot of couples go through the motions and they just get used to their partner just being there, and then they go down the path of cheating or being more distant, and then they get divorced and they're oh, how did this happen? I do everything for you. And it's perspective, because again, as human beings, the moment we get something, we're yeah, and then that wears off and you're I need more.
I want something else. I want more.
I want a better car. I want a bigger house. I want a bigger, more grand of a vacation.
Yeah, we're never really satisfied with what we have. That's really sad, because we have so much. We're so fortunate, right? We're so fortunate because we have so much access to everything.
Yeah.
But I think what we need to practice as a society was more gratitude. Right? We're so blessed, but it's always so easy and so exciting to want more. Yeah, it's such a slippery slope.
Yeah.
It's so dangerous.
All right. On that note, we're gonna put a pin on that.
Yeah, I know. We could talk about this for a whole hour.
But maybe what we can do for the next episode is start with gratitude and then move on, because that's also a good topic.
Yeah.
The other thing that we wanted to touch on was sleep and how that.
What a great segue.
Yeah, we're right into sleep.
Well, okay, this is a good way to segue into that. You've been working 19 days straight. How has your sleep been through that?
Pretty good. Like, I'm a type of person where if my head hits the pillow around 9:30 at night and we're talking and my eyes just start slowly going
he also like somehow like melds into his pillow and I don't even see his eyes anymore, but he thinks he's still talking and it's been like 30 seconds and then a minute and then it's like, okay, well, good night then.
Yeah, but I will say, for me personally, when it comes to sleep, I think relatively I've been pretty good with sleep, and I think a lot of it is to do with like nutrition and exercise. And I've had moments where I can't sleep. Like I've had those times where I'm so exhausted, I get into bed at 9:30, I have no screen time before bed.
Yeah.
The room's cool and everything, I have water and all that fun stuff, and I start falling asleep and I have this weird thing where I like wake up because I feel uncomfortable or hear a noise and I turn over and I'm like...
Or you drool.
Or I drool, yeah, and I wake up to like the wetness on my face and I'm like, oh no, I can't fall asleep.
And then the anxiety rolls in.
And then anxiety comes in and now it's like 11 p.m. and I'm like, okay, it's not too bad, I can go back to sleep. And then I like check my phone, I'm like, oh my god, it's 12:13. God, like I have to wake up at 5, but I'm like, it's okay, like if I get 5 hours of sleep, I'll be fine.
Yeah.
Tossing, turning, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna look at my phone one time. 2:30 in the morning, great. And it will get to a point where I could like literally be up until like 4 a.m. Alarm goes off and I'm like, crap.
But I find those times usually tend to happen when you're super stressed, like there's a lot on your plate. But I mean, you would think that would have happened in the last 19 days, but you're really good.
It's the supplements.
Yeah.
So I've been utilizing my wife's abilities as a naturopathic doctor, abilities and knowledge, to go on a supplement like regime.
Yeah, I mean it's a pretty general list, but I think because this is easy for me to just do that because Raf is already good. He has good nutrition, he exercises, he drinks a lot of water, like all of his foundations of health is great. He just needs a little bit extra support because he does work a lot. He hustles. And so I know I mean some of the things you're taking are just like common things, magnesium, B complex, like that's what most people should be taking anyway. But even then, like you eat pretty well. You know, we have a pretty balanced diet for the most part, unless we're like craving camis for the weekend. But for the most part, our diet is pretty good, and so most of your minerals and nutrients are coming from the good foods that we're eating. But when you're working really hard, you need some support, and some of the things that I prescribed for you are kind of just like things that are helping with stress resilience and things like that. So if you're curious, little plug, come chat with me about it. Let's see what we can do.
Yeah, and I'm also going to do like a post on all my supplements that I've been taking and kind of give the highlights of each one. But I think that's one thing that people can do for sleep is look at the missing gaps in their food, if they should be having any kind of supplements that could support that. And sometimes it's just like a placebo thing.
It could be. Absolutely.
Like, yeah. I've seen it so many times where people have tea before bed and they're like, that's the thing that's making me feel better.
Yeah.
And we do the same thing. We try to get into the habit of like having tea before bed and doing some sort of like movement.
Something, hopefully.
With like kin stretch, and that's like our time to also like catch up and annoy each other because we miss each other.
And also we can't have a full conversation at dinner anymore because Mally's like, meh.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think, but the thing is, at least in your mind, you prioritize sleep. There's a lot of people who, including me, put sleep on the back burner. They're like, oh, I have other things that are more important. I'm just gonna take away from my sleep time and do the things that I need to do. But I know that it's so important for you. So even though I know, I still struggle with it. But sleep is so important, right? Mm-hmm. That's when, our bodies like repair like muscles, or that's when our bodies detoxify. That's when we're healing. That's when we're regenerating. Like it's the most important time. And if you take away from that, then it just continually builds up, and then you're more tired, you're more stressed, your body's not able to balance your hormones properly, and then you're more tired, and then it just gets worse and worse, and then it's like, what's wrong with me? Why can't I sleep? Mm-hmm. But it's because you deprioritized your sleep already. And so it's so important. And I get it, busy parents, or you're busy with work, or you need to do something. It happens. You can do it. But if you make it a habit every day of like only sleeping for a couple hours, it's gonna catch up to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the big thing with sleep is like that hormone piece.
Oh yeah.
Because you see it, especially for like men's health. A lot of times men will think their testosterone is low. Mm-hmm. And we were talking about this the other day. And there's a coach in the States that I know that she primarily works for just men's health in general. And she's a huge fan of TRT. Mm-hmm. And there's so many men that reach out to her that want a like prescription for it and like dosages and how it works. And the first thing she'll ask is, how much sleep are you getting? What are you eating? Yeah. And are you lifting weights at least 4 days a week?
Yeah.
And 99% of the time, all those three things are like, no. Yeah. And that's like the easiest thing for like men especially, and women too. Mm-hmm. But it almost seems like men's hormones are a little bit easier than women's generally. But I always tell my female clients, it's like, if a guy starts sleeping and eating properly and like working out, they lose 10 pounds and gain 12 pounds of muscle out of nowhere. And then like women have been doing everything perfectly for like a month, and they've like, I've gained 2 pounds, how does this work?
I know.
But
so much fluctuation, that's why.
Yeah.
Right?
But for men, it's like the easiest thing you can do to improve performance and strength and energy is sleep. Again, there are outliers out there who could just survive on 4 hours and they're just like go. But even then they'll hit a wall.
I know.
But there's always outliers.
Yeah.
Like there's always something more to it. But people just don't understand the power of sleep. Mm-hmm. And it's so funny because it's so simple, but people are like, no, it has to be more complicated. Like the people that I see on a daily basis, they're like, they'll ask me questions like, how many grams of sugar should I be eating? And I'm like, well, you don't drink water, so let's maybe focus on that before how many grams of sugar, right? Like people are always jumping to the more advanced things. And even for me, when I work with people with injuries, and they're so shocked that the answer to their joint pain is movement. Mm-hmm. Like, you don't have to constantly...
What kind of supplements should I be taking for my joint pain?
Yeah, like, there isn't, like, a protocol of, like, how many cortisone injections do I need in my shoulder? Like, sure, it works, but if you're not adding movement to a structure that's designed to move... Right? It's like... Yeah. And also, most people don't move. And I've been telling this to clients to understand it more. Like, imagine your lungs. They're designed to inhale and exhale. But if I told you you're only allowed to inhale and exhale at 60% of your lung capacity, and you get to do that for the next like 10 years of your life, your lungs are probably not going to function that great. Mm-hmm. Your joints are the same thing. If you're only using your shoulder for your phone and laptop and maybe grabbing a cup out of the cupboard, but nothing else, your shoulder's going to feel like shit after 10 years or 20 years if you start getting real big issues in your shoulder because you never use it. So it's always the most simple things that our body needs. And I think you did a post too that our body's constantly giving us signals. Oh yeah. But we never listen to it.
No, it's because it just happens so like common. Like you go like, oh, I'm so tired today. Like, did you have sleep? Oh, no, I just didn't sleep very well, or just I stayed up because I did this, or I woke up super early because I need to do this. Like, and it's just like ingrained in us for some reason that it's just normal.
Yeah.
But Sometimes it's not. There's a lot of things that your body can be telling you. Like, for example, like the inability to stay asleep, waking up at like middle of the night and not being able to fall back asleep. That's a sign that maybe there's some, issues with your blood sugar crashing in the middle of the night, and you're not eating enough in the day or something, and then you have insomnia and you're like, oh, I just have crappy sleep. And then you don't get enough sleep, and then you're tired, and then it all snowballs from there. But if you look at that sign of like, you know what, it's constantly happening, something's wrong, go check it out, nip it in the bud before it gets worse, right? Lots of signs from our body.
Well, even like just getting updated blood work, I think a lot of people don't know the power of that information. Like,
take it a step even further back is just getting a physical done. When was the last time doctors don't perform annual physicals anymore? And that shows us one aspect, but yeah, blood work is another, and it completes the picture of what's going on in your body.
Or even blood pressure.
Blood pressure, easy, right?
Nowadays you can just go on Amazon and buy a blood pressure cuff that does it for you, and that's like $40, if that.
There you go. Easy. Or go to like a Safeway or London Drugs or whatever it is, and Shoppers or whatever that they have, and check it. But most people don't, because sometimes people are afraid to see what's going on. They'd rather be in denial about what's going on. They're like, you know what? I'm able to wake up every day. I'm able to do what I need to do to get through the day, get through my work. I'm still eating okay. I'm still having some sort of a bowel movement or whatever, and I'm good.
Yeah.
And leave it at that. I'm still alive. But are you optimal? Are you able to do the things that you want to do? Or are you just doing the things that you can do with what's going on with your body? Right?
Yeah, I think most people are in denial with their health in general. Because even when I've had people come in for an assessment, they don't ever give me the full picture of what's going on. And men are worse, but a lot of it is like, how's your shoulders and hips feel? Well, they're fine.
Yeah.
And then I move their hips and they don't move, and they're like, oh my God, that's terrible. I'm like, yeah. Because you haven't had the ability to even think about that stuff, because again, everyone's so go, and they don't have time to like check in with themselves. And that's why I always tell people like the cars routine on a daily basis, just to like check in with your body.
Yeah. And
when people actually start doing it, they're like, oh yeah, like my back hurts all the time when I do this thing or that thing. But then you become more aware. But I think being aware is kind of that first step, and then it kind of snowballs. But we've been chatting for a while. I think we can again put a pin on it, and we can probably expand.
Sleep is a big topic, well.
We can probably expand on sleep in the sense of like hormones. Maybe that could be a whole like topic, is like hormones in general.
Yeah. What
we should be looking at. Maybe we can talk a little bit about women's health, because that's primarily people coming to you, and me really. So it'd be a good little duo of a tag team. But any last words?
Listen to your body. I think I'm always gonna say that. It's just like, listen to your body, just check in with yourself, be aware of what's going on with you, so then you can talk to someone about it and be like, you know what, this is not great, let's fix it, and then find someone who's going to be able to help you, whether that's through exercise or through me to help you, or naturopathic doctor to help you, figure that out. But don't wait. Your body's not going to wait. It's just going to keep going. It's just going to keep going downhill if you don't do anything. So listen to your body.
Nice.
Leave it at that.
All right. Episode 2 done. The Wellness Hustle.
Wellness Hustle.
Be sure to subscribe, share this podcast with your friends and family. Add us both on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok and LinkedIn and Threads and all the other things, Spotify and all that fun stuff. And if you guys ever have any questions, leave something in the comments. Yeah. We're happy to answer them, and we'll keep giving you the best overall health advice out there.
Yeah.